Hey. Thank you for all the amazing questions that you guys left on the last video I made. I'm really excited to answer some of them. I'm really excited to answer all of them. Multiple people asked, but I played... That leads very well into this next question, asked by Lad. Right, I'm already... That leads very well into the next question by Lad, which is, when you become a huge YouTuber, will you try to make, by the way, which actually leads really well into this next question, which actually leads really well into the, which actually leads very well into this, which actually, Hey. Thank you for all the amazing questions that you guys left on the last video. I'm excited to talk about them. So let's just start. Starting off first, there's a question that says, what's your favorite genre of music, and have I taken any music classes? So my favorite genre of music would be indie music, probably. I think it's a pretty encompassing genre. There's a lot of range, but all of my favorite artists tend to define themselves as indie musicians. So I like that. And yes, I've taken a couple music classes. I took AP Music Theory in my last year of high school. I took a introduction to jazz piano to jazz music, and I focused on piano in that class at community college. And then I took a voice class my senior year of college, and a composition class my senior year of college. Multiple people asked what my first instrument was, and starting in 4th grade, I played flute for a couple years, and then in 7th grade, I decided to start teaching myself piano, and I was using online resources to do that. So I kind of consider piano like my first real instrument, even though I still play flute sometimes, and when I was composing for that movie, I actually played some flute parts. Cole DeMann asked what I do in my free time. Besides doing podcasts with him, I also watch a lot of YouTube videos, I play a lot of music, but those are kind of more obvious. That's why I did most of my content related to Ludwig, is because I was actually consistently watching him. And I play a lot of video games. I actually, when I was younger, when I was in high school, at multiple points was thinking about pursuing a career, trying to be a professional or a coach playing video games. So I play games with friends. Sometimes I dive back into some competitive games. But mostly I either watch or read stories I'm really into, watch YouTube, I don't know. I do a lot of things. Connor asked if stew is a drink, and my answer is no, stew is stew. Nate Furman asked if I cube. I do. I can solve Rubik's Cube. When I was a preschool teacher, I actually would bring my Rubik's Cube in, and I would show kids how I solve it in a simplified version. And actually one of the kids really took to it, and his dad bought him a Rubik's Cube, and he was 4, turning 5, and he learned how to solve it, and that was really cool with my help, but mostly his dad's help. So that was really fun. Josh asked if we can get a Scream. I was going to do it and really commit to it, but I'm actually shooting this at my girlfriend's apartment, which has shared walls, so I'm gonna pass this time, I'm sorry. Passcraft asks what got me interested in music, and I think that this is a great question. In a weird tangent, I was homeschooled for a little while, and both of my brothers who are older than me were homeschooled too. So when we were all put in school at the same time, they started at higher grades than I did, so I went in at 2nd grade. So I feel like mostly it wasn't as difficult for me to transition into public school as it was for my brothers, especially my eldest brother, who's over 7 years older than me. So he was going into high school having never been in a public school system. That was really difficult for him, and a couple amazing high school teachers made that transition and figuring himself out in kind of some defining moments of his life easier. And now he's a high school teacher. The point being that I think a lot of people pursue careers in things that influence them. For me, arts were always a major part of my life, and I was always interested in pursuing them. Music is just one of them, and the actual process of making music and learning instruments and singing and putting together and writing songs is just, it appeals to me as something I like doing, even the hard parts, consistently, and it's something that's been a constant throughout my entire life. I also used it as a coping mechanism to express and to, feel emotions. I think I've always liked saying that artists kind of, their songs are like little time capsules of emotion, where they took this feeling and then put it together in a very beautiful way. And then anyone who wants to listen to it can kind of tap into that when they need to and when they need that. So I love music and I love what it can do. That leads very well into our next question by Lad. When you become a huge YouTuber, hoping that is actually going to happen, but we'll see. Will you try to make the same content as now or branch out into other topics, such as gaming or vlogging? I've already thought about making gaming videos. I had some stuff recorded and then I ended up not getting around to editing it because I wasn't really sure if there was an audience, and I definitely didn't want to release it on this channel because I want this channel to be focused on music. So there's absolutely a possibility of pursuing that. And honestly, lately, what I've been doing is more vloggy. So I plan on potentially incorporating Q&As and other things like that, though I don't really want to become a vlogger. I definitely want to branch out. I definitely want to branch out in the arts. Realistically, I'd like to do stuff in comedy and in movies. I've always wanted to be involved in movies, write and direct and star or whatever it is, right, in these things. That's always interested me. What was the inspiration behind the Elephant Theory? In case you don't know, the Elephant Theory is 5 songs I released earlier this year on Spotify and other streaming sites. It's actually part of a 10-song album. So I did the first volume and I plan on doing a second volume in the future. But before that, I plan on doing a different independent album. And when I was working on music, I was thinking, okay, I need to finish. I need to do stuff. I'd like to finish what I'm doing. I'd like to make progress and move on, because that's how I wrote music. As I was working on the Elephant Theory, the songs that I was putting, and as I was rearranging the order in the first couple songs, I realized that there was this kind of story I'd like to tell. And I've heard a lot about and read a lot about concept albums, so I was really interested in that. And eventually, as I started to work on more songs, this story kind of surfaced, and I started fleshing it out and figuring out what I wanted to do. And I ended up coming up with this like in-depth concept album, at least in my mind. And I started recently writing it down and working on basically a script, which is what I would like to do. I'd like to take all 10 songs and make a 5-part series, which is like an hour and 40 minutes or an hour and 30 minutes total of this story, essentially a movie, except I'd release it on YouTube over 5 parts. And that's something that I've been thinking about practically doing, but it's really difficult, and I think I would need to crowdfund to get actual funds to hire actors and get the resources I need to make it professional, which would be my goal. So the Elephant Theory was just, originally I wanted to make music and I wanted to take songs that I like, that I've worked on, and put them together and release them. But then it evolved into this really complex concept album, and that was really fun for me. Orn Knight asks the question, what is the process of making songs? They always are catchy and unique. Do you workshop them, or are you insanely creative? I think it depends. The way I started writing music is I joined a songwriting club, and I decided I was going to write a song every week. And I worked really hard, and some of them were not good, and some of them were good, and they stuck around. And I just kept trying stuff. What I realistically would do is I'd sit down with a guitar or a piano, and I find a chord progression or something I like, and then I would improvise over it. I would just sing random things. I would try to find a good melody or something in that nature, and then there would be a phrase that would stick out to me. And I would go into my phone, and I would go into a voice recorder, and I would record it. And I actually have like tons and tons of ideas, right, that are recorded. They're all like little things. Sometimes like little melodies or piano or chord progressions or a guitar part that I like, or maybe something I was singing that I liked that stuck out. And then more often than not, that phrase has kind of like a theme or an idea, and then I try to like come up with a story that I can associate with it, which makes it easier to write. And then mostly I just work linearly, where I like, okay, I'm gonna keep writing words and try to tell this idea of what I have. A good example of that is I have a song called Peter Pan and Wendy, which is about like childhood romance. And it was just basically, I had this really vivid picture from this movie called A Preacher's Wife, where there's a scene where the main character's son, who has maybe he's 4 years old, he has a best friend that lives across the street with his grandmother. And when his grandmother gets sick or can no longer take care of him, he has to move away to go live with another relative. And there's this very tragic moment where he's losing his best friend. His best friend's looking out the back of the car window with his hand on the glass. And that resonated with me a lot emotionally, especially when I was younger. So when I came along trying to take this same idea, except almost apply it in like a Forrest Gump manner of like that like childhood love right? When you're too young to really know what love is. And then like losing that person, what would it be like? And that's where the song came from. It also played on the fact that my name is Peyton, and I'm, small and blonde and, rambunctious. So my family often compared me to Peter Pan. So it's just a combination of those things. Some songs I workshop a lot. Some songs just like flow, and I sit down with an idea and just one line after another comes and it makes sense and it fits cohesively. More often than not, the end product of a song is over a long period of time. Like I'll finish a song and then I'll come back to it. But recently there's been like a couple songs that I've been coming back to, these ideas that are more complex and harder to put together. And those take a long time. So I think it ranges, like sometimes quick, sometimes not. Sometimes I really do have to sit there and like workshop very vividly and, sometimes I really do have to sit there and workshop and work really hard to kind of make any progress. It feels like pulling teeth to get one line, and sometimes it just flows. So it's just hit or miss. And then not all songs are good. And I think that's part of what I do is I finish a lot and move on, and then I can come back with a less biased perspective on whether or not it's good, which helps. On Instagram, I got a couple questions. My first being, what are my opinions on pineapple on pizza? Contrary to what most people think, is I don't feel very strongly about pineapple on pizza. I don't dislike it, and I don't like it very much. I think that I'm happy to eat pineapple on pizza. I've had Hawaiian pizza. I've ordered it before, but generally speaking, I stay away from it. Not because I don't like the pineapple on the pizza, but because pineapple is kind of a neutral fruit for me. So, yeah. The next question from my friend Brandon is 1,000 subscribers with a lot of agency. Yeah, 1,000 subscribers. It's a weird number. My friend Salim, who I really like, who I work on music with sometimes, he's one of my best friends. He talks about it like, imagine all your subscribers in a room together. Imagine how many people that would be. And he was actually my 1,000th subscriber. He deliberately held on to it until I got to 999. And then I was like, hey, 999 subscribers. And he subscribed and called me. He's like, 1,000. He was very excited. So that was really wholesome. But it is a cool idea to sit there and think about everyone, who does watch what I do in a room together. And that's kind of crazy. It's a lot. Hey y'all, earlier my footage cut out and I didn't know that while I was recording. So while I'm editing, I am missing the last section of my video, which kind of sucks. But it's really okay. I'll just redo it right now. So the last Instagram question was Akari's question, and what Akari asked is who my first fan was. To clarify, Akari's a friend of mine who I met through a Discord server that was a karaoke Discord server, and he was a really nice guy, and he kind of was like, do you have any fans yet? And I was like, no, not really. I'm not really sharing my music yet. And he goes, well, then I'm your first fan, and it was really wholesome. The last question is from Alex. And the reason I left this to last is because it's a really good question that I've been trying to figure out a lot lately. And the question is, when is the next album? I have 7 songs lined up, ready to go. 7 songs that I think I could start the production process and cycle for, which means recording everything. Not all of them are finished, but mostly I think I could finish the songwriting for like the basic songwriting for most of the songs pretty quickly. The thing is, I think I could make a really cool video about like a challenge, like can I finish an album? Can I make an album realistically? Because I'm basically starting, besides having the songs in the studio from scratch, can I make an album in 2 weeks? But the problem is, when I was making my old episodes of Searching for a Sound, it's significantly harder to record yourself making music than it is to just make the music, right, and properly documenting it. And I think realistically the way I could do that is in a very vloggy way where I have footage of myself working on it, but mostly what I'm doing is talking about the process and where I'm struggling and making, means it's a big project to undertake, and I really don't want to start it and halfway through bail. So I've actually been kind of preventing myself from working on this album for a while now that I think wouldn't take me that long to put together, because I don't know if I can make the video the way I want to, but I know I can make a cool video out of it. So it's this like weird mix. So I'm kind of trying to figure out what to do there. There's also this issue where like when you're releasing music on Spotify and streaming services, generally speaking, there's this month suggested wait time between when you finish and submit it to when you publish it. When you're making weekly videos on YouTube, there's just a pace that, like a month is so long to wait. So it's like, by doing that video, I don't know if I could release the music on Spotify at the same time, which means I need to be doing that video while also doing other videos so that I can release the video at the same time the music is released on streaming services, which creates suddenly this like really weird dynamic problem. And that's been the main thing holding me back. Plus, I've just been enjoying making YouTube videos, so I've been kind of diving into that and focusing on growth. But I don't know. That's what I'm thinking, and that means the next album, if I just work on it, could be sooner. But if I want to make a video at it, probably longer. I don't know yet. I think it'd be a cool video is the problem. So I don't know what's gonna work. But what I do know is that I'm feeling really good about the growth on YouTube. I'm feeling really good about the people just participating in what I'm making. You guys have been killing it and awesome, and I'm sorry that this sound quality is lower, but my microphone isn't working and it's later and I just want to finish this. So thank you everyone who asked questions. Thank you everyone who watches what I do. Thank you everyone who's subscribed. Even if you don't watch everything, I still appreciate it a lot. Thanks. I'm gonna keep making stuff, and hopefully the quality increases and I can really make some stellar stuff, we'll see. But thank you once again, and I hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you're watching this. Thanks, bye.